Man, I tell you, just these thoughts just keep coming. Have you ever wondered why you just can't get a break in your brain? Like your brain just never stops. My brain never stops, never stopped. It was never stopping. At one point, man, when I was out there in the world getting high and doing all the crazy stuff that I was doing, I had all these thoughts coming my way, this and that. I was believing I had to do certain things that I didn't have to do. I was believing things about myself. And I realized something, right? That the devil, the Satan, whichever one you want to call it, was implanting things in my mind. And because I wasn't thinking about what I was hearing, right, I would just respond and do certain things. And it would cause a particular behavior and a reaction out of myself that then turned into frustration, turned into anxiety, turned into depression, right? Turned into an uneasy feeling, negative thoughts about myself, right? But I had to realize when I started thinking about what I was thinking about, when I started having probing questions about the lies I was hearing Satan and asking myself particular things, why am I doing what I'm doing? And answering myself, I'm doing what I'm doing because I have a fear of people finding out or a fear of being successful in whatever area or field that I'm in at that particular time. I'm working a job, I'm rolling, I got everything going, I'm thinking about promotions, I'm talking about stuff on when I was working in New York, Bantam, Double Dale, all them places, right? And I'm moving, and I would get to a place in that I would hear a voice, I lied, I would say, man, if listen, don't do it, don't take that promotion. You take that promotion, and guess what? They're gonna realize you can't do what you do. And I would go get high. So now, 27 years later, going on 28 years later, not using drugs, right? But I had to come up with a process, a 3-step process. I didn't come up with it, I learned it, right? I just learned this 3-step process that I always share about. You know, when you gotta try to identify this lie that you're hearing, but we really can't identify something that we believe is true, right? And it's real simple, you know. When I probed and I asked these probing questions, I came to the conclusion I had a self-destructive behavior that caused me to use drugs, or an addictive behavior, right? That caused me to use drugs, not just use drugs, use women, use anything that would get me outside of myself, where I couldn't really be who I knew I would be, who God wanted me to be. I had a disconnection with myself. I'm going to say it again. I had a disconnection with myself because I did not know who I was. I was living a life based on a lie. Not a lie that you told me. And I realized I was responding to things, and I was always worrying about things. And what I became a people pleaser because I knew at some point in time I was going to mess up. And I wanted you to forgive me. I was going to do something dumb. I was going to backstab you. I was going to rob you. I was going to do something stupid that had you totally upset with me. And I figured if I put in the work after I do that dumb thing, you will forgive me. And that was all based on a lie. So I had to start pinpointing what that lie was. And the lie was fear. I had a fear about doing things that made me worry, that made me have a behavior that was outside of what God wanted me to do. So I learned now the process. This lie caused a problem in my life. It caused a problem with me getting high. So I had to stop getting high, and I asked the questions, when did I start, and this and that, and I pinpointed it. So I went to get help. I went to Narcotics Anonymous to get help. Of course, God was always on my side, but I needed to go to Narcotics Anonymous, a 12-step program, to get a foundation on how to stay clean. Therapy, dealing with situations. So after pinpointing the lie, there's things we have to do that's going to help us get better. That we don't have to like the lower part of our brain is called the limbic part. It don't think, it just responds. So I lived off that lie. I was just responding based on my natural behavior, based on my environment, based on my culture, based on anything other than what the purpose and plan that God had for my life. So moving forward, right? Moving forward, I started realizing, listen, I'm powerless over certain things. And I have to turn the power over to God. Right? I understand it doesn't make no difference how I see myself, how I value myself. Right? I might value myself, or how I feel how I value myself. You know what the only thing that matters? And listen to me real closely. The only thing that matters is not how you value me or how I value myself, but who wants to pay for me. Let me break that down real quick. What do I mean? Only thing that matters, who's willing to pay me? Who's willing to pay for me? Well, God sent his son, Jesus Christ, and he paid the price. And because he paid the price, I have an infinite value that no one else can take away. I was made by God, so my value is based on his thinking. My value is based on his purpose. My value is based on his plan. Don't matter what I feel. It only matters what he has created me to do and the value that he sees for me. And I need to see that same value based on what God sees. Not what you see, not what I feel, not none of those things. But because God made me, there's a value in me that's infinite and that's an eternal. And that's how I started changing my thinking. That started changing my life. I started controlling my thoughts. My thoughts stopped controlling me. I had to look up and don't give up. Don't give up. Look up and watch what happens as we turn and understand that God has value for us. And no matter what nobody say, I have to catch myself when I decide that I need to please you opposed to pleasing God.